When looking at the Night Lords we face in Elden Ring Nightreign, we aren't given a significant amount of information on their histories. For most of them, we learn nothing more but a few lines of information, and are left to theorize about how they found themselves in their arena, fighting for the night against our Nightfarers. What I find interesting is just how many factions found their way under this same banner, from a dragon beyond the pale to a simple wolf. The power of the night makes strange bedfellows indeed, and today, I'll be taking a look at two who once stood on opposite sides of the lands between. One, a servant of the gods, and the other, obsessed with balance and wielding the flame of frenzy. Today we explore the stories of Fulghor, the Dark Drift Knight, and Libra, the Equilibrious Beast. Welcome back to Square Table Gaming, where we bring you the lore of Elden Ring and Nightreign every week. This week, we're sponsoring ourselves by asking you to check out our new Patreon. With the current state of YouTube, the channel's becoming harder to sustain, so if you've ever enjoyed our lore dives or just used us to fall asleep, please consider joining. Much like our memberships on YouTube, we're offering early access to our content, but at additional tiers we've got new perks, like behind-the-scenes looks at our editing process, access to the scripts of all of our videos, and ad-free content. If you want to support the channel and enjoy our entire library ad-free, please consider signing up for the STG Patreon. With that said, let's begin this deeper look at these Night Lords. After we defeat the first Night Lord, we're able to choose from a number of opponents, and on the list we find the Dark Drift Knight, who's described as an ancient centaur consumed with battle. His fervor for the gods he serves yet burns within, wielding a sacred form of the night's power. According to legend, the mightily radiant gods were able to conceal themselves in the roar of the thunder. This description creates an interesting question. Which gods did this knight once serve? The golden holy light he wields leads me to believe he served the demigods in Marika as a knight of the Golden Order. However, neither he nor any of his kind are found in the base game of Elden Ring. Also, the idea that the radiant gods concealed themselves in a roar of thunder could imply that he and the other centaurs once fought for the dragons. Another sign pointing toward Fulghor fighting for the dragons is his weakness to lightning. Fulghor wields light and is easily staggered by lightning, meaning the power held by his gods can bring him to his knees. With all this said, I think that Fulghor was most likely a knight serving the ancient dragons in a time before the Erd Tree, where he would have been seen as being close to the Crucible for his humanoid and animalistic nature. When we face Fulghor, we see he's missing an arm, and the story behind this appendage is given to us through his relic. The knight belonging to Fulghor left upon his defeat. The power of its namesake can be unlocked by performing a relic rite. The left arm of the loyal and brave servant of the gods had been severed from behind. As he turned back to look, he fell to despair. It seems his companions, who had walked with him upon the same perilous path, had now forsworn the very gods they once served. So Fulghor lost his arm to his own group of knights. Betrayed by his brothers, we can assume that he is the reason there are no more centaurs to face in the base game of Elden Ring. There is the question as to why his fellow knights betrayed their gods. If they were followers of the dragons, perhaps Marika's rise to power enticed them to seek a new lord. Or maybe, if Fulghor held his true allegiance to the Golden Order, the coming of the rain could have warped their minds. Either way, it seems Fulghor, after the betrayal of his brothers, was able to face them in battle and emerge victorious, perhaps by using the power of the night. Even if the timeline doesn't match up perfectly, we know the night melds all into nothing, and if the Nightfarers can come to face it from across time, who's to say the night itself can't do the same? It seems as though Fulghor, whether he used the night's power to wipe out his treacherous brothers or not, now keeps the night suppressed within his own body. It's not until we face him in battle and push him to his absolute limit that we see an arm of darkness powered by the night emerge from his shoulder. After this, he fights with the full force of a Night Lord, wielding holy light alongside blasphemous darkness. While his light comes from his blade and the sky above, his dark arm emanates power, pushing it through the ground. Light above, darkness below. In this way, our standard fight with Fulghor is actually a depiction of balance between the light of the Erdtree and the darkness of the rain, a concept that acted as an obsession for our next Night Lord. Libra is a demon seeking to find balance in all things, or at least what he considers to be balance. The relic dropped upon his defeat is the only indication we have as to his intentions for becoming a Night Lord. The night belonging to Libra, left upon its defeat. The power of its namesake can be unlocked by performing a relic rite. The demon was obsessed with the concepts of impartiality, fairness, and equanimity. For anything to reach a higher plane, each side must elevate the other. The goat-eyed being gazed into the darkness. If it is true that the night swallows all, then the night is impartial. The night is a thing of fairness, of equanimity. The night is a champion of balance. The equilibrious beast saw the night and believed that if it reduced all things to nothing, then it must be fair, as it brought the entire world to the same status quo. This concept may seem ridiculous at first glance. How could anything all-encompassing possibly represent balance? But if we take a look at the lands between, we can start to see why Libra may think this. During the time of the Erdtree, blessings flowed and the land thrived. Underneath its golden light, life flourished, and death was removed from the world. To someone wanting to tip the scales so that they would align perfectly, it would seem that the pendulum must swing heavily in the other direction. Of course, from the outside, we see this for what it is. The night is impartial, but that doesn't create balance. It simply creates nothing. You could say that Libra's interpretation is due to the fact that he's a demon. I would naturally see destruction as his goal. But the truth is, the equilibrious beast may have once believed in balance, but his exposure to madness has eroded his reasoning. Before we face off against Libra, we can read a short description of him at the Round Table Hold, which tells us he is a goat-headed being who pretends to be a man, said to be able to use a dubious form of alchemy. Counterfeit gold causes loss of sanity, beckoning madness. However, those who foment madness are sure to succumb to the selfsame malady in the end. It's his insistence on wielding madness that's tainted Libra's views. One infected with the madness of the frenzied flame, no matter how powerful they may be, will not be able to resist eventually falling to the temptation to burn everything down to one, to end life in this world once and for all. Due to this corruption, Libra doesn't see the night is essentially doing the same thing to the lands between that the flame of frenzy wants to do to everything. Reduce it down to nothing so that all can be one. Perhaps in a way that could mean balance, but at the cost of life itself. Nothing better exhibits just how far away from his original ideas Libra has strayed than the powers he abuses during his Everdark fight. After hearing our answer to his proposal, the deal is set and the battle begins. Once he feels the slicing of steel against his flesh, the frenzy takes Libra completely, and he begins summoning dark Nightfarers to fight on his behalf. You could argue that this is still balanced. Clearly we've gained some strength during our time in Limveld, but after we defeat these doppelgangers, it's only a matter of time before Libra summons 2 of each Nightfarer, and then 3. Taken by the flame, Libra no longer cares whether or not he achieves balance. He's become a wild demon, hell-bent on defeating us. But, as with so many things, that's only one interpretation. It's also possible that Libra is still seeking balance during our fight by summoning wave after wave of Nightfarers. Essentially, if we keep winning, if no stalemate is reached, then clearly our strength is tipping the scale. With each summoning, Libra could be trying to find our equal, and with each summoning, he fails. While we learn the most about Libra during our fights with him on day 3, it's also possible to meet him during our exploration of Limgrave as the scale-bearing merchant. When we find him, we're able to strike a devil's bargain, where we gain our choice of boon, but we must first bear the weight of its blight. In this way, balance is achieved as we struggle harder but attain great strength. At some point, if your party has not found Libra, you will become cursed, losing access to half of your health. And the only way to lift the curse is to find the merchant and pay what is due. From here, you achieve balance, and your party members are rewarded with a deal where they do not have to experience the downside of their chosen strength. We also have the option of doing battle with Libra in a weakened state as he's outside of his arena. However, the payoff there is simply runes. No matter how you choose to deal with Libra while you explore Limveld, a balance is found. As it turns out, whether you worship the gods or the equilibrium of the universe, you are not immune to servants of the Round Table. Fulghor was a holy knight, doing the bidding of his god, using the strength of the night to fight back against those who would fell him permanently. He fights even though his fellow knights not only gave up on their god, but betrayed him and took his arm. His dedication to his cause is unmatched. On the flip side, Libra fights to achieve balance no matter how deeply he and his ideology are corrupted by the fake gold he cultivates. His is an obsession that is defined by how far he will stretch his own logic in pursuit of achieving equilibrium. Unlike the pillar of dedication that is Fulghor, Libra falls to his own corruption. Perhaps in having his arm returned to him, Fulghor finds balance, and in falling to the frenzy, Libra betrays his ideals. Thank you for hanging out with me while I discuss the lore of Fulghor the Darkdrift Knight and Libra the Equilibrious Beast. Do you think Fulghor fought for the Golden Order, or is his god older and tied to the Crucible? Do you believe Libra's Everdark fight is meant to portray frenzy overshadowing balance, or is it Libra desperately trying to balance the scales against our might? Which of these two Night Lords do you prefer fighting? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Watch that button light up as I say like this video, and if you think we've earned it, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore.